Alrighty, welcome everyone. This is Axum from Fire Emblems. Today, we're going to be doing a top 10 video with Joel from FEHOLOGY. Joel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello summoners and welcome to Axum's channel. I am so happy to be here. I mean, what is there to say? I am just some nerd overanalyzer who managed to stumble into doing YouTube channels about a gacha game. So always fun, and I love that it's surrounding Fire Emblem, and it is great to be here with you.
We're going to go ahead and start ranking these top 10 characters that we feel have impacted the meta of Fire Emblem Heroes the most.
So when we talk about meta, keep in mind this is units that have changed the way that people play the game. It is not necessarily a unit that is the most powerful, and people get that confused a lot. A lot of these units are very powerful. I can't wait to get into all of these, though. This is going to be a lot of fun.
With that out of the way, let's start our list right now. We're going to open up with number 10. The Hoshiden Archer, Takumi. It's ironic that we're going to be talking about Takumi all the way at the point that we are right now, because I would say Takumi is really what began the meta back then, right? Like, Takumi close counter was the boss. Vantage close counter Takumi was just impossible to beat. He was the guy to have on your team.
I couldn't get this unit. I tried so hard and just was demolished by him, and he would not come home. Did you have a Takumi?
So, didn't we get a free one at some point in time? But I think his reign started to die down around then, right?
Yeah, much later on we got a free one. I was yes, it was nice to finally get him that way though. The close counter fodder at that point was really good, but the unit was not so much. At that point, we didn't have skill inheritance, so it was so important what skills you had on there. And this unit was absolutely meta stomping. I'm trying to remember, like, in my head, his reign of terror was like years. And I'm sure it was more like 6 months, but it really felt very impactful at the time.
You also got to take into consideration the fact that he had a bow too, so he was effective against most units that flew as well. So he already had a huge advantage on the cast, because effective damage is always great on a weapon. Plus the close counter was just really what segmented him as a triple threat.
Enemy phase on the ranged and enemy phase on the melee. So this unit was an absolute terror. I was the coconut head guy just really killed me a bunch of times.
At number 9,
Surtur. Oh, gotta love this unit. I firmly believe that Surtur wasn't nearly as bad as people remember. But the thing is, and I'm trying to remember exactly, I believe he got 3 or 4 weeks of bonus season in Aether raids. And during that time, he was absolutely unstoppable.
It's funny that you bring that up, like, because I clearly remember as day the corner Surtur strat. Like, I don't know if you remember this.
Yes.
But people used to stack Surtur in the corner, and he had such a min-maxed spread that it was very difficult to tackle him. Like, you had to have a specific combination of a red mage with Triangle Adept or either Axe Breaker. So, like, Lilina at this point in time became one of the best units in the game.
This was the time when we got Est. And that was what I brought, and that was my Surtur counter team for those couple of weeks. And I think I had a couple with Lilina as well, but Axebreaker was definitely meta.
Units that had Armor Slayers got a lot better too. So even Hana started to see a little more action, because she actually had one in her base kit, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, definitely. I actually built up a Hana, and that was something. If you played Arena Assault, like, you had to have like a sea of units that were able to counter him just in order to make it all the way through. It was very annoying.
At number 8, we have Legendary Robin. I'm actually kind of surprised that we ranked him where he is. I kind of feel that nowadays he's much more impactful. Like, I've seen his prevalence increase as time progressed to the point that people now have launched counters to him. But I guess that's just a product of how the game has aged in that regard.
That's kind of the great thing about him, and he's a bit of a product of the meta, right? I mean, we have God Swords come out, and here's a way to buff them that literally at the time when he was released and for many months afterwards, there was no way to stop it. I mean, there was on Aether Raid's defense, there was a stark difference with how you planned on Earth Season and non-Earth Season. I feel like this unit absolutely changed that mode, and I mean, we can't talk about him without talking about Summoner Duels.
Robin brought a lot of things to the table that really put him apart from everything else. He had that support capability. He also came with Canto Control, which is still essential in shutting down hit and run teams in SD and on defenses as well, because it's just really good to stop that type of movement, or if somebody's going to try to trade with you, they have to make that sacrifice knowing like, hey, you're not going to just chip me and get out.
Let's talk about what this unit really changed in the meta and how it absolutely shut up every FEHtuber who kept saying, this is me included, who kept saying stats don't mean anything.
Oh yeah, it's something else.
Here's a unit who his whole job is to give you more stats, and it was busted.
So the way this guy confers his buff is also crazy when you think about it, because you can neutralize enemies' buffs, right? But you cannot neutralize enemies' debuffs. That wouldn't even make sense. It's like, how would I try to prevent you from getting debuffed? And his whole thing operates off of debuffs. So there's no effective way to stop it, barring, some counters that we got recently.
And I don't think it changes Legendary Robin's placement in the meta right now. Like, if you summon for him, you're still pretty happy. We'll be seeing him for a long time until we get that next busted duo that just completely counters him. Oh, this unit has a special place in my heart. For those of you who don't know, when I was summoning for Duocrom, I actually had my small human in tow, and he managed to summon 7 of them before the spark.
Wow, that is some love there. That is wild. I don't have a single Duocrom. I never got him.
Whoa, that is nuts. Duocrom is one of those weird units where he comes out and you're probably thinking, oh, well, this unit, just like every other unit, is going to fade within, the first, couple months. And by 6 months, he'll be okay. And by a year, he'll be gone.
I never left.
This unit is still a premier unit to this day and can be used in any mode you want him to be in. He is the Swiss Army knife and proof that IS loves Crom so much.
Episode that comes out of Forging Bonds, we're talking about their bonds. There's been like 6 forms of them talking about their bonds, and it's like their bonds are stronger than everything. They're stronger than the summoner. I don't even know why we discuss like this. It's just is what it is. I think that the best value from Duochrome, if I gotta be honest though, is the special pre-charging thing. Like, it's so efficient to be able to confer that +1 in pre-charge a special for anybody. So you can pre-charge lethality, you can pre-charge AoE specials, you can pre-charge his special, Deadeye. You can do so much with him in conferring that. The grand strategy thing is very nice. Like, let's not underplay that, but getting another action and charging that person's special. So he's valuable in action economy. He's valuable with more actions in either raids. He's the guy. He's got everything.
And that really brings us to the heart of the thing. Like, I'm talking about the longevity of the unit, but this is really, like you said, this is about meta and how he shaped the meta when he came out. Looking at having a refresher, and in particular, Summoner Duels changing our views on how refreshers should work. Along with Chaos Season, but that was a little bit later. But just understanding that in that kind of a mode, it is better to be able to have this kind of self-refreshing thing where you're repositioning and then ready to attack, than to actually have a movement, a dance, and then another movement. It's just very, very efficient. The meta still revolves around specials doing damage, and it will until damage reduction disappears, which I don't see happening anytime soon.
With number 6, we have Elmine, everybody's favorite Astra Mythic. Another confession, I also never got to pull an Elmine. I've been doing either Raids Astra Season on hard mode since it's launched.
This is one of the most divisive characters in all of Fedom. Just so many folks felt like it made Astra Season way too easy, was way too overpowered, Other folks who just really like overpowered offenses thought this was just the absolute most amazing thing ever. The biggest thing this unit did was shut down Catria. That in and of itself is amazing. But then you think about all of the other start of turn bonuses. False start is the counter to all of them.
They also shut down, inadvertently, things like Sigurd, Brave Selef, because false start would just stop all those start of turn. Poor Duma, who was sitting there as a catapult bot, got nerfed because of this. And I sat there and I was like, bro, my Duma is +6. I love Duma. I love Shadows of Valencia. It's one of my favorite games. And here I'm sitting with Duma doing not even doing 7 damage because it's start of turn.
Even if Elmine was just a healer that gave AoE damage reduction, she still would have been amazing. Like, that in and of itself is really, really good. And then you add on this absolutely game-changing effect. Folks who have Elmine right now and feel like that she got absolutely countered by Freyr, that is only half true. This unit is still very usable in your barracks.
Joke's on you, because since I never had her, I never got hard countered by Freyr. Just saying.
And we had a big discussion on whether or not this unit should go higher. I mean, the big issue, and Axum is the one who said this word for word, this is a unit that really affected Astra season. So it's Aether-Raid's offense half the time. There are a lot of other modes, but man, in that one mode, in that one season, she was dominant.
That's why I don't think she goes up more, because we didn't see her. Like, I've never seen her in Arena Assault. I gotta be honest. I've seen her once, maybe twice. In Summoner Duels, I feel like, and Joel said this to me, and I agree, is that the teams that do have her don't really capitalize a lot, and kind of slotting her in eliminates a high threat target, because since she has to act as a support bot, you kind of lose another option to attack. And in Summoner Duels, like, every unit has to have a purpose.
I think that brings us to our next unit, which is one of the most loved and hated units in all of FEHDOM, and this is Brave Hector. Looking long term, if you +10'd Hector, has there ever been a better investment in Fae, period?
I don't think there was, because as time progressed, armors were very strong once Save came out, right? And then they got Hardy Fighter. Brave Hector is still very usable with all that. You can't pierce Hardy Fighter DR because it's a special proc, right? And those are still relatively safe.
For now.
For now. So he just kept getting better and better and better. And on stats alone too. Like, his defense was massive. His ability to counter was fantastic. He only really got shut down by people that prevented counterattacks.
I mean, that's the big thing with him. He doesn't have any kind of null counter disrupt, which, I mean, is kind of the chink in all of the armors. It's so funny to me, though. Like, he comes out, and he's an amazing Omni tank. And then he starts to fade, and then Hardy Fighter comes out, and he gets a boost. And then he starts to fade, and then Armored Beacon comes out, and he gets another boost. And, I mean, this is over a period of years. And he's the gift that keeps on giving. How much of an impact he made when he first came out. His refine is what we're really talking about here. The anti-armor thing was just huge. I mean, it was Hector raids. They just use Hector and they'd be done. I was very jealous. I did not get a Brave Hector till much, much later on. And I mean, I'm still happy that I got him. Like, he's a great unit.
I will say, though, his position kind of changed as time progressed, because in the beginning, they kind of touted him as this dual phase armor because he had Bold Fighter and, like, you could have the quick riposte effect or whatever. Then time progressed. He started to specialize more into an enemy phase tank. Special Fighter came out. People were like, whoa, wait a minute. We can fire instant bonfires out. This is great. And then after that, like, Pulse Smoke came out. So you would just yeet him in, hit once, Pulse Smoke everything. Nobody could AoE you down anymore, or pre-charge special you. You would just tank everything on retaliation with Sol or something.
I don't know if you've seen this Special Spiral 4 Armored Beacon build, but it makes him really formidable again.
Gentlemen, you have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I'm very intrigued with this. This is moving up on our list. This is the second time I've done a video on Fire Emblem Heroes, and this is the second time that this man has appeared on a list. Reinhardt himself. This guy is like, until this day, I tell everyone, I'm like, build a +10 Reinhardt. No matter what you do, you start today, tomorrow.
Like, if we were not talking about combat at all and talking about like how Faye has influenced the Fire Emblem verse, this unit would be in that conversation, because this is a unit that doesn't have a huge role in their game, and they are wildly popular just because of Fire Emblem Heroes. This is the first time where we really see the power of Brave weapons. This unit comes out and is good for absolute years. From Brave weapons with added skills in there and a min-max stat line. This unit just absolutely crushed things. Saw a resurgence when Cavlines got popular in Aether Raids.
I remember those days. Yeah, I remember those days.
But even now, like you said, if you wanted to build a +10 Reinhardt, you could get skills on him and still use him in a lot of modes. He's not going to be meta-defining, but Brave weapons are just really good. I am still anxiously awaiting this man's Refine. Like, it is time to let him out of Refine jail, because I want to see the next meta version of Reinhardt.
It's gonna be some Ascended version. You know this. Come on, you and I both know this.
Hey, I'm good with that. Like, I just want to see more Reinhardt. Open up the jail cell, let him out.
Choose Your Legends. Reinhardt's gonna get my vote. Choose Your Legends 8. Just saying. The one thing I think was really cool about Reinhardt, and the reason why we put him on such a meta-defining position, is that he really terrorized for a long time. He even countered things that were supposed to counter him. And then Quick and Pulse came out, and his Moonbow combo with Quick and Pulse just shut everything down. It didn't. You could be green and you would still die. The meme was still dies to Reinhardt. And until this day, pretty much a lot of things still die to Reinhardt. Cheap to build, easy to use, highly prevalent. It got so bad that they actually had to launch like traps inside of Arena. Do you remember this? So that they could stop Reinhardt from just running rampant everywhere. They added like the spikes for cavalry so he couldn't move up. This is how much the man defined the meta. They launched Sigurd to counter him with Crusader's Ward. They launched Deflect Magic to counter him. Until this day, Deflect Magic sees use, but it's all because of Reinhardt.
If you want to know why Cavs don't get very many skills, like very many really meta-defining skills, it's this guy's fault.
It's true. 100%. You're right. It is. It is his fault.
This is another one of my absolute favorite units. And when Legendary Azura came out at number 3 here, I had been saving orbs for like a year. This unit was going to define the meta. And one of my best calls ever. I've had a lot of bad ones, but Legendary Azura, just the 3 movement that she provided just in Aether Raid's defense alone was absolutely bonkers, and created her own archetypes. Like, Dancer Traps came about because of Legendary Azura. From the beginning of this game, always, movement is king. Like, if you can get to the other side of the map, then you can do damage and you can do amazing things. This is the unit that did that, and on top of it, had Gray Waves giving bonus stats to your unit. And yeah, what can I say about this unit that hasn't been said? Like, I absolutely love this one. Is this at least a unit that you got to summon for?
Yes, I do have a Legendary Azura. I do have actually a +1 too. I actually really liked Legendary Azura. I did not like what she did to defense teams when she came out, particularly because at that time, I remember there was one map that everybody used because there was an unassailable portion of the map because of the structures. Yeah. And there was a rally trap that was basically impossible to stop. It involved like Legendary Alm, because I think he came out a little bit after that. And there was no way, and nothing could tank Legendary Alm at that time. He was like the Claude of back then. And it was just impossible to stop the rally trap. And you were going to lose. You were going to lose a unit. That was a fact. Not only that, the unpredictability of her movement, along with the fact that she came with aerobatics, if I'm not mistaken, which really, really increased her viability in a lot of modes. Until this day, I still say it, like, she's a fantastic unit. I still like fielding her. There are other people that do cool things, like Peony's really nice, she's free, whatever. But increasing movement, still a valuable skill, like you said. Not just in Fire Emblem Heroes, every Fire Emblem movement is one of the most important stats. But in a game where the map is even smaller, we're cooking with gas. +1 movement translates to so much more because of how much smaller the map is. The area that you cover is higher, threat ranges are higher, and the fact that her dance actually applied afterwards, meaning that you could be debuffed. If you got danced, you would automatically get the +6 because dances also cleanse debuffs. So that unit would be super buffed.
There's another piece to that, though, and we haven't even talked about what she did to Arena. Like, this unit just absolutely destroyed things and really, really made Arena a very toxic mode.
I distinctly recall that at that point in time is when I started to really understand the value of taking more than 5 damage from a dancer.
The AI guide. That Mia's AI guide really took off because for Arena you almost had to have it.
You sometimes couldn't predict it. You'd be like, okay, I'm safe to bait here, and then suddenly you would get a rally, that person would get dance, and it was like a cascade of events. It was very sad. You would look, oh no, a rally, oh no, a dance.
Oh, look, a change fate. All right, that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. I guess it's it. At number 2, Legendary Sigurd. This character took what Azura did and did it to everyone. So if you thought it was bad before, imagine version 2 Electric Boogaloo.
And I swear to God, this is the way it went down in intelligent systems. There was such a panic that a mere 2 months after this unit release, was it even that long? It was really quick. They had to put out a structure that countered this unit because he wreaked so much havoc on Aether raids. Just destroyed things, and you needed the safety fence just to play. It was a must-have. You had to have the safety fence. Now, the timeline there is actually that saves came out, and shortly after Sigurd did. So you've got these really powerful things, but I mean, I certainly was in the boat that, I mean, why do I need this? I've got my Omni tank. Things are going fantastic. That is when Sigurd came out, and he's the one who thrust saviors into the meta.
For some reason, I thought it was reversed, or maybe I'm suffering from the effect you just said, that I saw the prevalence and the value of them over it after Sigurd came out.
And I remember Elder V put out a video on the note line. So if you remember, this is right after note.
Not like this.
So you had 2 notes and Sigurd, and then just whatever you had died. It was so annoying.
It was the most obnoxious thing ever because it's that annoying. I would say that it actually got a resurgence after Embla came out because of Undefended, right? So you saw a lot more Note and Embla together. But Legendary Sigurd is just enables all that stuff, and the fact that you couldn't stop the special, so you could not stop Holy Knight Aura because you would just quick impulse, pop it, and that would be it. It did alleviate a little bit in Astra because of Elmine, but on Light Season, especially with Note increasing everybody's range, he was still out there wreaking havoc. Him and all the Cavs, every single time, it was just that archetype you would see non-stop.
He was very bulky. That was another thing, and people forget that. It was, I ran a few Vantage teams, and they generally did pretty well against him, but you had to watch out. He could definitely survive hits that you didn't think he was going to, and then he would just really wreak havoc.
He had the +5, he had the slaying, he had a special, he had Crusader's Ward, he also had damage reduction on the weapon, and a support ability. So he basically had everything.
And to me, the legendary Sigurd moment was a meta spike. It's when things are, you kind of measure things before Sigurd and after Sigurd.
BC and DC, but it's BS and DS. Before we unveil number 1.
Oh, our dishonorable mention for the list here.
We're talking about Fallen Edelgard.
What is there to say about Fallen Edelgard? I put her in the Surtur category. Her time as a tank was kind of short-lived, but there is something about units that when you put them out there that you just lose to on principle, that it doesn't matter how long that lasted. That sticks in your brain. And corner Fallen Edelgard. You say those words to this day, and I guarantee you every person in some way recoils just a little bit.
Not only that, I feel like to some degree she was a little bit worse than Surtur because she was colorless, came out at a time that we really didn't have a lot of effective weapons against beasts, and you add the fact that she could prevent people from charging specials, and she got another action upon attacking, and also movement on her wasn't bad either too because of Armored Stride, so this is just, she had a lot going for her, and it was pretty disappointing to see her on Arena in particular. It was so crushing.
That extra action, though, is what has given her such staying power. And really, you can still use Fallen Edelgard as a Gale Force unit. That's pretty incredible. But not as much as this next unit. And I really do believe at number 1 that Bridal Catria is the most meta-warping unit of all time. This unit just does not go away, and I don't think that IS is ever truly going to nerf this sucker. I believe they view Bridal Catria as the bridge between how free-to-play players and whales can compete in the same arena. How else would you be able to take on someone's brand new +10 Brave Corrin? Like, there's not a shot. Like, you would have to have such specialized units in order to do that.
But wait! There's more!
Bridal Catria to the rescue.
Ironically enough, she kind of flew under the radar for a long time until people started to understand how powerful triangle attack actually is, and its lax requirements too. There's a reason why you see a lot more of her than you see of Winter Cordelia.
People were completely ignoring saves. Sigurd comes out, and they're like, oh god, I have to have saves. Now Sigurd lines aren't working anymore, and you have to have some way to counter these absolutely monstrous armors, which was Bridal Catria. It is continued to this day, like the same cycle. Bridal Catria is just the answer.
I think if a very well-built team is set up, I don't think that there's a single thing that can survive Bridal Catria fully unleashed nuke squad. I'm pretty confident that there's nothing that can survive an onslaught of just those overbearing, overpowerful nukes, and they have been leaning a lot more into nukes in this game. So the more that they do that, the more Bridal Catria is going to get value. As a unit herself, she doesn't, combat-wise, it don't matter. She's so strong that she doesn't have to participate in combat. I have her on my defense team. She's sealed. I don't want her to move. I just want her to confer effects.
And if we're talking about longevity, they have given her a ton of skills she can use. And the biggest, I don't think that Bridal Catria ever really fell off. But Guidance 4 came along, and suddenly, she is forefront of the meta. Absolute one of the best units again. So you throw on Guard Bearing on there. Guard Bearing 4 is absolutely fantastic. There are so many different ways you can use this unit. She could be Riss and have triangle attack, and we would still talk about how amazing she was.
Is it upsetting that I kind of want a Riss with triangle attack now?
I said it, and now I want it too.
Can you imagine, with the bride dress too? It'd be perfect.
No, not the bride dress. You gotta go Cypher, and you gotta go...
Oh, the dark one?
Fallen Riss.
Oh
yes.
My god! Alright, so that concludes our top 10 units in Fire Emblem Heroes that warp the meta. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank Joel as well from FEHOLOGY over here today.
Hey, thank you guys. In the comments, let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. We want to hear from you. What is your most meta-shaping unit? Because it's always a little different for everybody.
Also, go ahead and follow FEHOLOGY as well. He puts out fantastic content regarding Fire Emblem Heroes. I think everybody should give it a watch. I want to thank you once again, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys.